Hello, this is Alex from ONG Tax and Accounting Services. So in this video, I'm going to share some crucial insights about the Proforma 1120 and the 5472 forms. Now I'm going to be highlighting some common mistakes and the IRS notices that can arise if those forms are not prepared correctly. Now, before we start off, let's throw a word of caution out there that this video is for educational purposes only. It is not meant to be a legal or tax advice. If at any point in time you need a legal or tax advice, you should always consult with a competent CPA or attorney who can listen to your situation and help you out. Now, as a foreign owner of a US single member LLC, it is very important that you understand the unique information reporting requirement that you have in the US. It is also important to understand your tax return requirement, but for these purposes, we're only going to talk about information reporting requirement, which is generally the Proforma 1120 and the 5472 for US single member LLCs. Now, unfortunately, many of you faces challenges with the correct preparation of your Proforma 1120 and 5472. And when you seek out to get an attorney or a CPA to prepare the forms, somewhere along the line, you realize that there are some red flags or there are some issues that you think these forms were not prepared correctly. Okay, so we're going to review some of these red flags, some of the issues you should be looking out for when someone prepares your Proforma 1120, and to determine whether the 1120 was prepared correctly or not. At least we're going to walk you through some forms that were blatantly incorrectly reported or incorrectly prepared, so that you be on the guard as to what you need to do whenever you consult with a CPA or attorney or work with an accountant who prepares this form. There are key things you need to look out for to see whether this form was prepared correctly or not. Now remember, these forms are designed for reporting related party transactions only, and it is not for dealing with income and expenses. This is not the form you put in income and expenses, okay? Now, as I said earlier before, throughout my experience and every day, I have seen a variety of errors on these forms, okay? It is often made by well-intentioned CPAs and attorneys. You know, I say well-intentioned because they have the willingness to help you. It's just that sometimes the knowledge is lacking. And so sometimes these forms are prepared incorrectly, or maybe their misunderstanding of the law causes them to prepare these returns incorrectly. Now, sometimes the returns could also be prepared incorrectly based on the information you as a foreign owner gives to this person to prepare these forms. So sometimes the errors or the issues arising out of the errors goes both ways. Okay, it could be as a result of lack of information or bad information you provided to the accountant that causes some of these issues to arise. Right. So one of the prevalent mistakes I have seen is when accountants or attorneys or some CPAs try to treat your LLC as a full-blown corporation, which could lead to incorrect filing. Now, in this video, I will dive into these common mistakes and discuss the specific IRS notices that you might receive as a result. Okay, that's something that you definitely want to avoid. Okay, now to start off, let me just state that, you know, I do not, I'm not creating this video to punish other CPAs or other attorneys' reputation or anything like that, and that's why I have been able to redact some of this information. But these are some of the returns that I have received, and it causes me a great source of concern when you know, professionals takes money to prepare returns for foreign owners, and then it turns out, you know, they really have no clue as to what they're doing, you know. So this video is to open your eye and then also be able to review your own return and figure out if this return was done correctly or incorrectly. All right. So first of all, we will start with a sample of some of these incorrectly prepared returns. Okay. So we'll start with this one, which is, okay. So this one is owned by a foreign member of a US single member LLC. It is a foreign owned US single member LLC. Okay. And for privacy sake and everything, I've redacted the actual name of the company, and I've also redacted the employer identification number. Now, if you can see from this form, okay, the IRS instructions tells you that when you prepare the 1120, okay, the 1120 is a cover sheet. Okay, so the 1120 here is a cover sheet to the 5472. So basically, the 5472 is even the most important form for the Proforma 1120 and the 5472, because the 5472 does not have anywhere you can put your signature and date and title like we have in 1120 first page. The IRS instructs you to use the 1120 as the cover sheet or as the first page for your return. Okay, so if you can see from here, the instructions also tells the single owner or the accountant, to put this writing on the top that this tells the IRS that the entity is a foreign-owned U.S. disregarded entity. So up to this point, so if we start reviewing this return from the top page, it looks like, okay, whoever prepared this return knows what they're doing. So they put in the foreign-owned USDE, which is good at this point. Okay. Now, it is also saying that this is an initial return. Okay. Now, if this is an initial return, that is also good. But then, when was the company formed? Okay. So, for example, if the company was formed in May 1st, you have to put, it's a short year. So you put May 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021 here. Okay. So you need to put the beginning date and then the ending date, which is usually the ending date of the calendar year ending date, which is December 31st. Okay. So the way this is prepared is assuming that the LLC was formed on January 1, 2021, and it ends on December 31st, 2021. But if it is a short year, okay, in this case, when I review the return, the company was actually formed in May. So the beginning should have been May 1, 2021 up to December 31st, 2021 to establish when it was formed and its calendar year. Okay. You only leave this blank if the entity was actually formed on the beginning of the year. Then you have a full year return. Okay. The instructions also tells the instructions also tells you to, provide the names of the LLC, the address and everything on the first page. And it also tells you to complete box B. Okay. You complete this part and then this part. Date of incorporation, sometimes you can, it is not good or bad to put, the date incorporated here for a single member LLC is fine. It's harmless. It's not a big deal if you do that. But most of the time, you leave this blank and this blank. Okay. But you need to fill out this part, and then you also need to fill out the employer identification number based on the instructions. Now, as you can see, whoever did this reported gross receipts and sales and expenses, and even came up with taxable income. And then after the taxable income, there was no tax. Now, if the intention was to prepare a corporate return, there should have been a 21% taxes here. But again, you have an issue where this return was prepared incorrectly. And this amount, this income and expenses, should not have been on this form in the first place, because the purpose of this form is to report related party transactions, not income and expenses that came out from unrelated parties or third parties. Okay. So whatever is done here is incorrect. Okay. Should not report anything on this form, because the instruction tells you to complete this part, box B, and then make sure that you sign, whoever is preparing the return will sign, put all the required information at the bottom here. You, as the owner of the company, will be putting your name here, okay? And then you sign, and then the date, you have to put your date here, okay? So the date is going to be here. The date in which you're signing this return is going to be here. Another error that I see on this form is the title precedent. Now, an LLC, the actual titles or the legal titles for an LLC is usually member, sole member, managing member, etc. Okay, a president is not a good title for an LLC. Okay, especially for a single member LLC or even for a multiple member LLC. Okay, so that also needs to be taken into consideration when dealing with some of these issues. Now we go on to the other page. Now, because the instruction tells you to only use page 1, all these other pages of the 1120 is not needed. Page 2 is not needed. Page 3 is not needed. Page 4 is not needed. Okay. Page 5, not important. Page 6 is not important. Remember, we're not trying to determine your income and expenses and your asset and all of that. We're trying to determine related party transactions. So all of these pages on the 1120 that was attached to the return was not needed. Okay. This one not needed. And then they also attached a supplementary statement showing where the other cost of goods sold came from, other cost on 1125A. All of this was unnecessary for a single member LLC with a foreign owner. Okay. Once again, if the foreign owner thinks they have income and expenses that is taxable in the US, they would grab from 1040 NR and put all this information on that on Schedule C of 1040 NR. It does not go on this form. If the foreign owner is a foreign corporation, they will use 1120F to file and report all their income and expenses. Again, your income and expenses does not go on Proforma 1120 and 5472. Okay, Proforma 1120 and 5472 is only for informational reporting purposes only. So I'm still continuing, they still continue to attach some supplementary statements such as NOL carryback election, and in this case, the accountant elect to relinquish the entire carryback period with respect. Okay, but again, whether it's NOL carryback or carry forward, it does not go on this form. So all of these things was not needed. When you do this, you're creating an implication. You're creating an assumption that you want to be a corporation. Meanwhile, you've not elected to be a corporation. So you're going to get some letters from the IRS that I'm going to show you soon. Okay. So as you can see from this return as reviewed so far, okay, nowhere on this return did the accountant or the CPA attached 5472, which misses the point entirely. Okay. This form, the purpose of this form was the 5472 that reports the related party transactions. Okay. But here, instead of just reporting only page 1 of the 1120 as the cover sheet and then attaching all the pages of the 5472, whoever did this return missed the whole thing entirely and did not attach the 5472. So that's something you need to watch out for. Okay. If this taxpayer gets a penalty, it's because of this omission of not being able to file the return correctly and also not attaching the most important form for this return, which is a 5472. Okay. The entire meat and the content of this return is the 5472. 1120 is just a cover sheet to identify what the company is, what the address, the EIN, and then also identify who is preparing and who is signing. Okay. And that's why we have 1120 as a cover sheet. But the main issue we have to deal with has to be on 5472. And in this case, whoever prepared this return missed the point entirely. Okay. We're going to go to the next one. It's the same company prepared the 2021. And then the same company did the 2022. So we're going to look at the 2022 return that was prepared. Okay. So with the 2022 return, it starts again. Okay. So we're going to start reviewing it again. Now, same sequence. Okay. So here it creates an indication that the company is owned by it's a foreign owned USDE 22, which is prepared by the same company. Here it creates an impression that, okay, good. Up to this point, it's good. Okay, that you have to put a note on the top of the return to say that the LLC is a foreign owned US disregarded entity. So following the instructions, this is all good. Okay. Now, because this is not an initial return, it is okay for you to not put any dates here. And it's because it's a full year return for 2022, then this date still stands. Okay. And nothing should be here. Usually you put dates here when it's the initial return to establish when the LLC was formed or started operating, and then the ending date, which is a December 31st if you're a calendar year entity. So looking at this return, we know that some of the important pieces that needs to be given: the name of the company, the address, the EIN is there, and then they put incorporation date incorporated. Now, as I've said earlier, date incorporated, if you put it here, is fine, but the instruction does not tell you to do that. The instruction only says to provide this information, and then also box B, which is the EIN. But if you put date incorporated here, I don't think it's a big of an issue. It's a harmless error. It's fine. Now, same sequence. Whoever prepared this return reported income and expenses on this return, and again misses the point that 1120 is just a cover sheet. It is not meant to, the Proforma 1120 is a cover sheet. It is not meant to report income and expenses. And they did the same thing here, reporting taxable income, yet saying the total tax is zero. So if you have an intent of filing a corporate return and you have a taxable income, a corporation pays 21% in taxes. So there should have been a resulting 21% taxes here. But again, that is not the point. They're preparing the wrong forms, or they are preparing the correct forms, but they put the wrong information on the form. As a cover sheet, you do not put anything here on this form. Okay. So you complete this box, name and address, the EIN, and then the owner, needs to identify yourself. The CPA firm that prepared this return needs to identify themselves with their important information. And then again, the IRS has list of titles that LLCs should be using, and a president is not part of it. So a president is not a valid title for a single member LLC. It is a valid title for a corporation, but not for a single member LLC. So something to be aware of. Most of the time, the titles we use are member, sole member, or managing member. Okay. So we're moving on to the other pages. So similar to the first one, page 2 is not needed. Page 3, not needed. Page 4, 5, not important. Page 6, not important. All of this stuff, not important. The main thing here is the 5472. So let's look at how the 5472 was prepared. So it provides the name of the reporting corporation, which is the LLC, the EIN, which is all good from here. And then it states the business activity, which says digital commerce, which is okay. But what is not okay is leaving the principal activity code to be 999. 9999 is used when you really don't know what kind of business or what kind of code the business is engaged in, right? And so 999 is so generic. It's a generic code that people uses when they cannot find their business activity within the list that's provided by the IRS. But now there are many codes that you could use, to file these forms. 999 should be avoided. Just find the most closest principal business activity that's closely aligned with your business activity, and then use it. Okay. Okay. So up here, okay. So it states that it's only filing only 15472. It puts in amount here. Okay. So all of this stuff here is good. It identifies the 25% foreign shareholder, and it states their country of residence to be in UK. Okay. Reference ID. We've redacted it. So that's all good from here. Let's go to the next page. Oh, okay. And then also the important boxes is checked. Okay. So here you're saying that the entity is owned by at least 50%, at any time of the year. A foreign person owned directly or indirectly 50%, which is true for single member LLCs, because a single member LLC, you own 100%. So you've crossed over the 50% threshold here. So you need to check that box. And then you also check here if this is a foreign owned US disregarded entity. So this is for US single member LLC. This tells the IRS that you're filing these forms for a single member LLC. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next page. Next page here reports the related party. So when the related party has a transaction with the LLC, reports reportable transaction. So here, everything checks out good. Okay. So you have your reference number here, which is redacted. And then you have, the name of the owner, the business activity they are engaging. Again, the principal code. Find a more suitable principal code that aligns with the type of business this person is doing, not just the generic code 9999. Avoid it. Okay. And then if the owner has a foreign tax ID or foreign tax number, you present it. Now, another problem that I see frequently here, as you can see here, it says that this form, this part IV, usually as a single member LLC, you should not be using this part. Okay. You should use it in some extreme situations where we use it, but generally you don't put anything here. Okay. If the owner received other amount received, if the owner received money from the reporting corporation, that's a distribution, and the IRS instructs you to check this part, which is part V. You need to leave all these places blank, and you check this part V. Okay. And then you attach a statement to describe the kind of related party transactions you're talking about. So here it says that payment paid or received, okay, such as amount paid or received in connection with the formation, dissolution, acquisition, disposition, including contribution to and distribution from the entity. So in this case, if you're saying you received amount from the LLC, that would be a distribution, which falls under part V. So you need to check part V and leave this part blank. Okay. When you check part V, then you basically attach a statement or an extra sheet that, identifies the reportable transactions that you're talking about. Okay. So this box needs to be checked. If your accountant does not check this box, you need to redo your return all over again. Okay. The rest of the box, we don't check it. Again, all these other extra pages, 1125, not needed. Okay. But at 5472, you need to make sure you have everything intact. Okay. So all these boxes, generally we check them no, as they've done here, but always review your situation to make sure that the proper boxes are being checked. Again, all these statements not needed. This is where they miss the point to describe the reportable transaction, but instead of providing reportable transaction extra sheet part V to explain what is on part V, they did a 1125, which is cost of goods sold supplementary information, which is not needed here. Okay. Now, notice that you should thank your stars to receive. Okay. You don't want to receive a notice that says you prepared your return incorrectly and therefore we slap you with a 25,000 penalty. But when the return is prepared incorrectly and it's prepared in a way that, the IRS thinks that you were trying to file a corporate return, but then you don't know what you're doing. And so they send you this kind of letter. Okay. So in this case, when the return was prepared, the taxpayer was sent a letter and stated that, okay, so it will identify your name and everything. And it states that we received the form 1120 for the tax period listed above, but we cannot process your form. Now, the reason is because they know that you've established your company as a single member LLC, okay, and you've not gone through the affirmative step or the positive step of electing your LLC to be treated as a corporation, which is generally you will use 8832. So the IRS is basically saying, look, it looks like you filed a corporate return, but we don't have an election for you. Okay. So if your intent was to file a corporate return, then you need to file a form file an 8832 to elect your LLC to be treated as a corporation. Okay. And then it also tells you, it gives you, instructions on when you can file the 8832. And then, if you are late in filing the 8832, it tells you, some late, election procedures that are available. But then again, why would you want to elect a corporation and be taxed 21% when in most cases your income may not be taxable here in the US, especially when you don't have any offices any physical presence, any employees, any warehouses in the US. And maybe the only thing you're providing in the US is you sit in your home country to provide services, or you sit in your home country to ship goods to the US. Okay. So this kind of returns should be carefully analyzed. And if you have situations like this, always feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be able to help you file an amended return to fix whatever has been done. Okay. I hope this helps you guys out, and you guys have a good day. Bye.